About who? What?
Bye-bye.
That's especially how you did. He's not that interesting. He's literally like a reaction board.
Yay! Alright guys, we're working on.
Like we've had
Hurry.
for like 2 weeks.
Run.
Literally, I haven't seen his
Run.
I'm sorry, you're looking at
Yeah.
When I was doing this one, number 19, I'm ready for 64 doesn't go down. No, when you do 3, it's over the number. So do you just leave it, or are you supposed to put it in the card?
Yeah, just rewrite it. Flush. Alright, here we go. Number 5. What do we have to do first on number 5? Like, what do the directions tell us to do? The directions do not tell us to divide by 2. The directions say use synthetic division, right? So the way you're used to seeing synthetic division is 6y squared plus y minus 2 divided by 2y minus 1, right? Why is it divided by? Because this negative 1 tells me what happens to this 2y minus 1. Where does it go? On the bottom. So this is really 6y squared plus y minus 2 over 2y minus 1, which is division, right? Okay, now how do we do synthetic division? Now you divide everything by 2, okay? Because you can't have that number in front. So it'll be 3y squared plus 1/2 y minus 1 divided by y minus 1/2. Now what do we do? Yep. And we do 3 and 1/2 and negative 1. And bring the 3 down. Multiply. What's 3 times 1/2? We want to keep it as an improper fraction. So that would be 3 over 2. Add, and you get 4 over 2. What's 4 over 2? 2. Multiply, and you get 2 over 2, which is 1. Add, you get 0. So you have 3y plus 2. Okay? Alright, what about number 6? What does number 6 tell us to do? Synthetic substitution, right? So we're not just going to plug in 3. How do we do synthetic substitution? Same way we just did, right? Plug in the 3. Negative 7, 5, and 9. Bring down the negative 7. Multiply, and you get. Very good. Add, and you get. Awesome. Multiply, and you get. Add, and you get. Perfect. And what is my answer? Not with synthetic substitution. The synthetic substitution is just your remainder. So be careful about how you write your answer. F of 3 equals negative 39. Yes, ma'am.
If you had just plugged the 3 in, wouldn't you have gotten the same?
You would, but that's not what the direction said to do. It said use synthetic substitution.
Okay, so to check it, you could have just plugged it in?
Yes. To check it, you certainly can do that.
Okay.
Certainly. All right, what about number 7? It says determine the number of zeros. How, not the number of zeros, excuse me, it says determine the zeros. How do I go about doing this one?
Difference of 2 squares.
Very good. Difference of 2 squares, Scotty. Perfect. Okay, so how do I split up m to the 4th? M to what power? N squared? Very good. And I'm still not finished because there's another difference of 2 squares right here. Okay? So I'm going to bring this first one down. And how can I split this one up? Perfect. So I have m equals negative 1, m equals positive 1. What about this one? No. M squared equals -1. Move the 1 over. Square root. Careful. Plus n minus I. Very good. Very good. All right, let's do number 8 real quick. What about number 8? What would I do first on that? What does it have to equal? 0. So I don't want it to equal 3x squared. I want it to equal 0. So what could I do? Perfect. And then what do you notice? Perfect. I can factor out a GCF of x squared. So that leaves me with x squared equals 0, which is just 0. And that leaves me with x minus 3 equals 0, which is just 3. Y'all okay? Okay, we'll do the other ones later. We'll split up the other ones. Alright, so here we go. What about our ACT stuff from yesterday? Let's grab out number 21 through 25. And let's see which ones, if any, we need to go over. All right, 21. Yeah, okay. Number 21 was written really funny, and it was kind of hard to understand, but it was very, very easy math, but it was just a little hard to understand. Okay. All right, so what do we have? We have park in the shape, dimensions, and block given the water fountain is located. All right, so look at what it says. It says that the water fountain is located halfway between points B and D. So if you draw a little diagonal right here, then the water fountain is located halfway between those, okay? Which of the following locations is the water fountain from point A? All right, so do you see this little triangle that we formed when we drew that diagonal? So I've got to figure out how much those pieces are. So let's start with this top piece. How much is this top piece? How'd you get that? Because ED. There you go. Make sure that you don't assume this is a square. Make sure you do 10 minus 7 is 3. That's how we got the 3 on the top. Are y'all okay with that? All right, what about this side? I need to know how much this side is. How'd you get that? Same thing as the other one. 12 minus what? 12 minus 3, right, is 9. Very good. So now you can use Pythagorean theorem. Your hypotenuse, or your C, is what you're missing. So what is 9 squared plus 3 squared? You can do it all on your calculator. 90. And just for the sake of ACT and time, let's do the square root of 90 as a decimal. What does that give me? 9.4? 48. Okay, so look, guys. That's the length of the whole thing. But I don't want the length of the whole thing, because how far is the water fountain? Halfway. So what do I do to this number? Because I don't want the whole dimension. Divide it by 2. So how much is the water fountain now? 4.74, which is basically 4.5, right? So which answer choices can I mark out because they don't have the 4.5 north? A, C, and E, right? Because now B and D have the 4.5 north. Are y'all okay so far? All right, now let's see. We need to walk east. So if we're going to walk east, just for the sake of time, let me show you something real quick, okay? So we don't have to do any more math. How far east does this picture show us we're going to go? 10. Which one's the closest to 4.5 and 10? D, okay? Just for the sake of time, okay? Because you don't always have to do all of your math if you can find one that's pretty darn close to what you need to do. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, let's go on to 22. Do we need to do 22? Everybody needs 22? 22, the easiest and fastest way is to use your calculator, because otherwise you'd have to factor, and that might take some of us a little bit longer. So remember, it's a standardized test. A standardized test means where do we need to start with our answer choices? Which one?
The middle.
The middle. Which one's the middle one? 40. 40. And if our answer is too big, then we'll go smaller to G or F. If our answer is too small, we'll go bigger to J or K, okay? So here we go. What is it supposed to equal? I don't need it to equal Y, because Y is feet. So how much? 150. There you go. So I got to see which one I can plug in. And let's start with 40. Why am I starting with 40? Because he's in the middle. So look, guys, you can plug all of that straight in. If you use your calculator, so it'll be 3 parentheses 40 squared plus 10 times 40. You can plug that whole top thing in your calculator and you get 6,000, right? And then don't clear it, just hit divide by 40. And there you go. Look, you just did that problem in 10 seconds. Look, that was pretty easy. It just so happened to be the right one. Now look, what happens if our answer was too small? What would we do? You'd go up to either J or K. What happens if your answer's too big? You'd go down, okay? That's a time saver. Start in the middle instead of having to work your way through all 5 of them, okay? So the answer just so happened to be the middle one. We just got lucky. Are y'all okay? That's a time saver. You don't have to go through and solve it and factor it and all that good stuff. All right, what about 23? Do we need to do 23? No, 23 should have been pretty easy, right? 24, anybody need 24?
Yes.
Yes? So all you do is take 125 for the juniors and 100 for the seniors, multiply them together, and you get K, which was 1250. Excuse me, 12,500. These problems are not hard. They make you do what? They make you think, okay? All right. What about 25, which is the last one?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay. So what is, if you had me for Algebra 1, we did this craziness with these calculators where y'all first learned how to do them. And it was a hot mess with these calculators. It always is. But we did scatter plots and we did line of best fit and all that good stuff. And you don't have to even worry about all that. What's the equation for a line?
Y equals x plus b.
Okay. So where B is my what?
Where it hits the y-axis.
Where it hits the y-axis. Where it hits the y-axis? At 10. Right here. So I already know that 10 is my B, which means I'm not going to pick A, and I'm not going to pick E. Alright, what about my slope? Is my slope positive or is my slope negative?
Negative.
It's negative. So I know that my slope is going to be negative, which means I'm not going to pick D. So then, once again, I have narrowed it down from 5 to 2. And I haven't really done much. Okay, what is my slope? So here's where you have to be careful. What are they counting by on your x-axis? Halves, 0.5. What are they counting by on your y's? Ones. You have to be mindful of that, okay? So let's start from, let's see, I don't want to start from here because it's going to be a fraction, right? See how it doesn't cross with the crosshairs? But this one does. So here we go. So we're going to go up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 is my rise. And here's where you have to be careful. You ready? If I go over 1, I'm not really going over 1. I'm going over a half. So I have to go over 2. So that's 1. That's 2. That's 3. So I went left 3, which is negative 3x plus 10. Y'all okay? They do that a lot, guys. They not necessarily by half, but they count by something funny on the bottom. They may count by 3s or they may count by 5s, and you just have to pay attention to it, okay? Any questions? Okay. All right, let's put that up. Let's grab our notes, which are on page 25. And then we're going to turn in our homework, and then we're going to go over any homework questions that we have, okay? All right, so remember that we are reviewing for how many days? 2. We're going to review tomorrow, which is Wednesday. And then we're going to review on Thursday. And then when's your test? Friday. And what kind of a test do you have on Friday? Cumulative, which means that it is all of Chapter 6. And then we're moving on to some good stuff in Chapter 7, okay? You ready? Make sure. All right. Let's look at number 1. Number 1 said, what do the directions say to do? Anybody? What's the directions say to do? Solve. Okay, so what do I need to do to solve for x first? Move the what? Somebody said move the something, but now they won't repeat it. Nope. Why am I going to subtract the 4? Because it's not under the radical. There you go. So I'm going to move the 4 by subtracting. And that's 7 minus 4, which is 3. Now what could I do? Need to get x by itself, right? Algebra 1 problem, straight from Algebra 1. Nope. It is square root, so what's the opposite of a square root? I need to square both sides. Very good. Need to get rid of that radical by squaring. I gotta do it to both sides. And these will cancel out. Why will these cancel out? Because the same root and the same power will cancel out. So a third root and a third power, a seventh root and a seventh power, a square root and a second power will cancel out. So it leaves me with x plus 2 equals 9. All okay so far? Alright, and it's one more step. Subtract the 2 and you get 7. Let's plug it in and see if it works.
Miss Blackman?
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, can we have Leonella Martinez in the attendance window for a minute?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Alright, so go ahead, bud. Plug into 7. What's 7 plus 2, guys? 9. What's the square root of 9 in this case? Is just simple. Just 3. And what's 3 plus 4? 7. There you go. Y'all okay? Alright, let's look at number 2. Number 2 is a tiny bit different. Why is number 2 different? There's square on the other side. There's 2 squares, right? Square roots. And what else do you notice? Okay, there's a negative in front. You notice anything else?
The 2
Well, yeah.
is under a radical.
What's different from number 1? Yeah. What else? How many x's are there? How many were there in number 1? So what's the difference from 1 and 2? There's 2 x's. Okay, there's 2 x's and there's 2 square roots. Okay, so what would I do first? Can't combine anything. It is square rooted. So you would square it. Very good.
That's what I meant. Dang it.
Do you notice how I put both sides completely in parentheses? Now here's my question to you. Ready? Will the square root and the square cancel out on this side? Yes, they will. That leaves me with x minus 12. Will it cancel out on this side? No. Okay, so to save yourself some writing, let's do this on the side. You ready? How many times do we have to write it? Twice. Do you see now why I was such a stickler before when we couldn't get that square on the other problems? So now we're going to have to FOIL it. What's my first? 4. What's my outer? Negative 2 square root of x. What's my inner? Negative 2 square root of x. And what's my last? Now be careful. Positive square root of x squared. Very good. A negative times a negative is a positive. X times x is x squared. And it still has a square root on top of it.
Sure.
Okay. You can't just write x. That's what we're doing next. Alright, what else do you see? Like terms right here. What's negative 2 square root of x? Minus 2 square root of x. Minus 4 square root of x. Very good. And then right here, Sarah told us that they cancel out and we can just write x. Very good. Shoo. Now what?
It was back in that kind of,
You lost me.
yeah.
Where did I lose you?
I think. Okay, like, why did we just do that?
Do what?
Foil.
Because there was 2 of them.
Oh, alright.
You okay? This one I didn't have to because they both canceled. They were both under the radical, so they both canceled.
Okay.
This one they're not. This is 2 minus square root of x, so these do not cancel. I literally have to write it twice. Do y'all see anything we can do here? You can add the 12. There you go. That's one thing we can do. So 4 plus 12 is 16. See anything else we can do? I can move the x's, right? And what happens when I move the x's? No, it does not. They cancel out. That's why I wrote that step in there. It probably would be good if you wrote the step in there. So when I do that, what does this equal over here? 0. Oops, square root of x. There we go. I probably didn't want to move that 12. I probably wanted to move that 4 to start with. So let's do this. Do you see anything that's I can do on this side? Because I want it to equal 0, right? That's pretty cool for it to equal 0. I cannot because 4 has a square root and 16 does not. But I can do something with them. What, Scotty?
Take out the 4.
You can factor out a 4. Very good. These two have a 4 in common. So that'll leave me with 4 minus square root of x. These have a 4 in common. So I took out a 4. 16 divided by 4 is 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. Yes. GCF. So now these are going to split up. Stop it. Stop it. 4 does not equal 0, so I'm not worried about that. 4 minus square root of x equals 0.
So that's 4, and then the curve is 4 minus square root.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so I'm not worried about this one, right? Because 4 doesn't equal 0. Well, what can I do to this one to solve for x? Subtract 4. Very good.
And the negatives will cancel out.
Hold on. No. So you have negative square root of x, bless you, is equal to negative 4. And then, Scotty, how would they? You have to tell me how they would cancel.
Well, because you could take out the negative 1.
I can divide by negative 1. Very good. There's a negative 1 right here. This is nothing but Algebra 1, guys. And negative 4 divided by negative 1 is positive 4. Very good. Then what can I do? You can square it. Perfect. Square root and the square go away. And x equals 16. Alright, let's look at number 3. 0, period.
Go ahead and set it to 0.
Number 3?
Yeah, man.
No, man.
Why couldn't you do it, dude?
It's easier to square it.
Because it's easier to what, Scotty?
Square it.
Why?
Because they're both under the radical.
They're both all under the radical. This one's a very easy one. Go ahead and square both of them. And they both cancel out. They both cancel out because everything's under the radical. What can I do now? You can add the 2. What else could I do? Subtract the a. Perfect. Now what can I do? Divide, and I'll just get a fraction, right? That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Y'all okay? Alright, what about number 4? I'll have to do the same thing we did on number 2, right? Why is number 4 hard, but number 3 was an easy one? Like, what's it? Because the 1's not under the radical, right? Okay, so here we go. We're going to go ahead and square it. This is just like number 2. So instead of waiting till I get to the end to tell me you're lost, tell me exactly when you get lost, okay? What happens on the left?
Cancels out.
Why does it cancel out?
Because it's all under the left.
Perfect, Michaela. Very good. So it'd be x minus 3. Y'all okay so far? Okay. On the right-hand side, you have to FOIL it, right? So I'm going to come up to the top and FOIL it. Are y'all okay with that? So I can have some room? Okay. Here we go. What is it? X minus 4 minus 1? Okay, now look, guys. You have to make sure that you keep that 4 under the radical, but you keep that 1 outside, okay? Do you see how I've written it real nice and neat so I can see the difference? Some of y'all are getting a little lazy and you're wanting to do this. You see how I have that written? And like in your head you're going, okay, well that's both under it, but you're not showing me that. So when you're getting through these problems, you're getting a little lost because you can't see that that square root is completely over everything. Does that make sense to everybody? All right, here we go. You ready? All right, first are these two. What happens when I multiply x plus 4 times x plus 4? How many of them do I have? 2. So I have the square root of x plus 4 squared. What happens? Cancel out, so I just have x plus 4. Are y'all okay with that? Anybody lost? Huh? What? What?
Nothing.
Okay. All right, my outer is square root of x plus 4 times negative 1. That's just negative 1 square root of x plus 4. That's all that is. My inner is same thing. Negative 1 times square root of x plus 4. So it's minus 1. Bless you. And then my last is plus 1. Very good. All right, a couple of things happen. First thing is, you see how these both have a square root of x plus 4? So how many of them do I have? Negative 2. Very good. Do you see any like terms? The 4 and the 1. What's 4 plus 1? 5. So I have x plus 5 minus 2 square root of x plus 4. No.
I mean, it's the answer of that part.
Yes, ma'am. That's the answer of that part.
Why would we do 5 minus 2?
Because the 2 has a square root of x plus 4, and the 5 doesn't. Okay. All right. So, Sydney, you are right. That is the part. That's the answer to that part. So we're going to put it right here. All right. Do y'all see anything that I can combine? The x's. Let's go ahead and get them out of the way, right? What happens to them? On both sides, they cancel out. Are y'all okay? Nobody wants to talk now? Nobody's okay? Everybody is okay? Yes, we are okay? Nobody's lost? Okay. All right. Do y'all see anything else we can do?
Subtract the 5.
Subtract the 5. Let's subtract the 5. It'll make our lives easier. Then we don't have to deal with all the crazy factoring stuff. This way it's going to be a little easier. Is there anything else we can do? Divide by negative 2. Very good. Yeah, this way is going to be a little bit easier. So that'll be 4 equals square root of x plus 4. Square it. Very good. And now those all cancel, right? So that's 16 equals x plus 4. Move that 4. And what's x equal? 12. Very good. Bless you. And now we get to the Algebra 2 problems on 5 and 6. 5 and 6 are Algebra 2 problems. All right. Let me move the screen up a little bit so y'all can see. Okay. How are these Algebra 2 problems? What's different about these?
The fractions.
The fraction is what?
It's a exponent.
It's an exponent. Well, yeah. What does that mean? What kind of root in this case?
Third root.
Third root in this case. What's this one? Fifth root. Okay, so here we go. We have 2, and then we have the third root of 6x minus 3. And then that minus 4 is outside, equals 0. Okay, what do you notice that we can do? Not yet. You can add the 4, then we can divide by 2. Don't forget that cube root, guys, okay? Don't make it a square root. Because now, if you forget that cube root, you're going to square your answers and they're going to be the wrong, okay? So now we can divide by 2. And here's what I'm talking about right here, okay? If you forget to write that 3, you're going to want to square both sides. And I can't square both sides. What power gets rid of a third root? Cube, a third power. So you have to cube both sides. Not square them. Cube them. So I have 6x minus 3 equals 8. All right, add your 3 over. So you would get 6x is equal to 11. Divide, and you just get a fraction. You're all okay? You could make that a mixed number if you wanted to. Yep. All right, what about number 6? What do I do first? Fifth root. Very good. What else can I do? Add the 1. Which gives me 3 on the other side. Now what power would get rid of a fifth root? Fifth power. So that leaves me with 4z minus 1 equals, what's 3 to the 5th? 243. Add the 1 over. 244, very good. Divide, and that one does go in evenly, doesn't it? Yep. Very good. Y'all okay? Alright, here's what we're going to do. Your homework was on the back of that. So I want you to go ahead, get in your head which problems you want me to go over, okay? If you need to write them down somewhere, then write them down somewhere. When you've got which problems you want me to go over, go ahead and turn your homework into the tray. I will have those back to you tomorrow. So get in your head which ones you want me to do. What, babe? You don't need to go over this homework?
No.
Okay, yes, go.
student, did we just do these notes?
Yes.
Okay, can I send in the homework tomorrow?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. Okay, which ones do you want me to go over? 19? 28? 21, okay. Any other ones? 20? 17? I'm not. I don't have time. Alright, here we go. 17, when you have one base, you multiply. So 17 would become y to the 3 over 12. And that reduces by 3 to be y to the 1/4. 19, you have the 6th root of 216. There's two of them, actually.
I didn't even notice that.
Two negatives make a positive. Alright, 19. Now, there's two different ways you could do this. So, you could either rewrite, if you just rewrote this as 216 to the 1/6, I'll give you credit. I give you credit, okay? But there is another way that you could do this because you should know that 216 is a very special number.
It's a, yeah, but that doesn't.
Hold on. Patience, grasshopper. Yes, it does. What is 216? What third? 6 to the 3rd. Very good. And see, if I were to rewrite that, that'd be 6 to the 3/6. And what is 3/6 reduced to? 1/2. And 1/2 is the same as square root of 6. But if you just put this one, then I'll give you credit for that one, okay? But we did need to go over the fact that it does give you square root of 6.
That's wild.
You certainly can write that down. Yep. If you haven't turned your homework in, though, don't write it down.
Wild.
All right, what about number 20? Number 20, you have a negative exponent. So to make that positive, he needs to go on the bottom. So this will be 1 over d to the positive 5/6. How many 5/6 do I currently have? I currently have 1.
Wait.
I have 5/6, right? How many more do I need to make 6 wholes? There you go. I need 1 more. So on the top, what's 1 times d to the 1/6? D to the 1/6. And on the bottom, that'd be d to the 6 over 6, which is d to the 1. Very good. And don't subtract those, because if you say 1/6 minus 1 whole, you're going to get back negative 5/6 that you started with, and you just did all that work for nothing, okay? But that is a great way to check yourself if you wanted to. All right, what about 21? 21 is w to the 7/6, and you could rewrite that as the 6th root of w to the 7, and that can be broken up because there are 6 w's, and then 1 more makes 7.
I thought that was 7 over. Yeah, I thought it was
7 over 6. We even went over it, which is why it's handwritten in there. We went over this yesterday, and I went over each one of these numbers, and I said, hey, that's not solving, baby. That's simplifying. Any other ones? Okay, my 0 period lately has been quite scarce, and mainly it has only been for checkpoints. So, if you are one of the main ones that wants to complain about not understanding things and then doesn't come to 0 period to get help, then we need to get that fixed before your test on Friday, okay? And don't wait till Thursday and try to come in here and cram before your test. Don't wait till Friday and try to come in here and cram before your test, okay? I won't know until Thursday after I leave the hospital how I'm feeling to come in on Friday or not. I'm going to try to be here Friday because I don't like missing. But all right, where am I at? Homework and checkpoints. Okay, so we got about 3 minutes left. Several of you have checkpoints that need to be turned in, so you need to be working on your checkpoints or bringing them to me so that I can check them.